My name is Daniel Clay. I am 30 years old. And when I met Christy, I was 16. And this is the story of us.
I am Christy Clay. I am 29 years old. And when I met Daniel, I was 15 years of age. And our lives were forever changed. Are here to do a How We Met sit down with y'all. We should have did it when we first started, but better late than never. So welcome back to a highly anticipated,
never duplicated
Clay Bunch channel. We're gonna jump right in.
Yes,
we are actually at the high school right now that we met at. We met here, y'all, in 2007, and we didn't leave this high school the same. No. There was no way we could have. He graduated in 2008 and I graduated in 2009, but by then I had moved back to Dallas, which we'll get into all that. So I moved here my sophomore year from Dallas because I was getting in trouble in school, and that's where I met him.
That's where she met me. I've already been down here.
And we actually, right here, I was sitting right here, y'all. Right here on this PDHS sign, which stands for Pauladero High School.
Yeah.
And he pulled up in one of these parking spots to pick up his cousin, and he actually ended up giving me a ride home. And that's when I first had the little sprinkle in my eye for him. Does that make sense? A sprinkle in my eye?
I think so.
That's when I first was like, boy.
Oh man.
We gotta cut that part.
Yeah, man. I had to run some game. It was corny, but I tried to make it seem like she needed to choose between me or my cousin Frank. Knowing that she was gonna pick me, I knew. But at the time, I needed some type of punchline. I needed something to reel her in because I seen it as bait. So I casted it out there.
He was a
Y'all,
the light is going to be going in and out because we're outside, of course. We can't control the light. And the sun is going out and in.
Oh, yeah.
Out and in. Out and in.
This is where we met.
This is where we met, y'all. And just pulling up, honestly, my stomach hurt being back here. Like, I have a bad taste in my mouth for this school. It wasn't a great time for me here.
Yeah, it wasn't the best experience.
And so I only lived here during that time for about a year and a half. So I went here for did I go here for a whole year?
2.
Maybe like a year and a half. And
I thought it was 2.
It was really good fast, and then it was really bad faster. Yeah. So, anyways, we met here, and we actually had our first encounter. It started right here on this sign. Me sitting on this sign.
But the very first time we ever crossed each other's path was where?
I don't remember.
Slayton, Texas.
Okay, so
Slayton,
we got to get into the story, though, honey. So we met here, and then we didn't talk on the phone to probably a month maybe after I was here, and I had called him actually doing a prank call, and I'm like, it's that girl you met from Splash, and he automatically guessed who I was.
Oh, yeah, I knew.
It was a wrap from there, y'all. We talked on the phone all night, and then that's where we had the conversation that he used to live in Slayton, Texas. So I was actually raised from baby to second grade before I moved to Dallas in Slayton, Texas. It's a small town. My grandpa and grandma still live there.
Yes, they do.
And my whole family is around that area. So
and they knew me. Her family knew me before I knew them.
So when he told me Slayton, Texas, I was like,
told you
Like, I know my family has to know him. So the first time I brought him back home to Slayton to meet my grandparents, to meet my family, they had already knew him. And they were like, oh, we remember here.
I mean, I probably figured that out, but if you didn't know, I lived there also.
My brother was like, Daniel Boone. I guess that's what they used to call him.
But my 7th grade year, I dated her cousin, Sherry.
Yeah, I didn't want to add that part. Why do you want people to know you dated my cousin?
Because it's just, it's a funny way of telling them how we actually really crossed paths, because she said she introduced us before. That's what I was going to say. But we don't have to put it in there.
Anyways, my cousin actually introduced us in Slayton, Texas when I was in the 6th grade. He was in the 7th grade.
Yes.
But I did not remember at all, y'all. Like, back then, I didn't remember a lot. I was doing me. I didn't remember at all. So, I thought that was so funny. So, I told myself after that phone call, y'all, didn't notice, like, as far as like us just talking from that day, that's all I knew about him. But I had told myself that day, I don't know if I used the word married, but I told myself I'm gonna make this work.
Oh yeah, I was the one, after I met her, I told a friend, like, this is gonna be my wife. I just knew. It was one of those things where you just kind of, no, don't drink that water.
Are you serious? Are you running through the mud with your shoes on?
We still rolling. I definitely told a friend that this was gonna be my wife, just because it was something I knew. In my heart of hearts, I just kind of knew this was gonna be my wife, and here we are today.
So y'all, I was 15 at the time. He was 16 going on his 17th birthday, I think. And everything was great, y'all. Like, I knew like there was something special about him, and I wanted to make it work. And after that long conversation on the phone, like since that time, like I just knew. And so everything was great in our relationship, but everything went spoiled real fast.
Yeah, it went bad.
And we're not gonna get into all of that,
just know we were young.
We were young and dumb and learning, y'all. We end up actually getting pregnant.
Maybe 2-3 months after.
It wasn't long after knowing each other that we end up pregnant. Yeah. And I remember taking pregnancy tests and being so like in unbelief that I would just throw them and just be like, nope, 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 nope. Like, this ain't real.
It's not happening. But it was happening. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so when we finally had to let it sink in, I mean, my dad found out, my aunt found out. My dad was like, you either tell your mom or I tell her. And I think telling my mom was the hardest part. So I had to write her a letter, and I sent it back to Dallas for her to read, and it was horrible.
On the other hand, my mom she's a spiritual woman, so she just knew. She just knew, right?
You said my mom not?
I didn't say that. I said my mom's a spiritual woman.
It's different when your daughter's pregnant. Like, when it's your son, it's like...
Yeah, I'm just saying that my mom picked up on it, like, and she knew. And she wasn't... I think she might have been disappointed. She didn't let me know. She just pretty much wanted to get the parents to sit down and wanted to discuss it out and figure out what was going to be the next plan. Yeah, so that's what we did.
So we were pregnant by that summer, y'all. I came in the middle of the school year, and by that summer, like, I was pregnant. I was in a new city, had left all my friends, had left my mom and 2 sisters who I was raised with to move with my dad, who had just got out of prison, and now I'm pregnant. And it was crazy, y'all.
We were what, 15?
It was crazy. I was 15 years old.
And I was 16. So as a side note, for parents out there and for young adults that's watching this, listen, young love can be very real. But
the feelings are real.
Yeah, feelings are very real.
For parents to tell a kid what they're feeling is not true.
Yeah.
That's not the way to go about it, because at 15, 14 years old, what you feel is real. It really is.
Because love is an action coupled with emotion. So when a young kid says, I love this person, it might be immature. It might not be the right time to pursue that as strongly as they want, but take it serious so you can be involved. Yeah, get involved. Get involved. And kids, it's worth the wait. Trust me, you have a future ahead of you.
Yeah.
So let your kids know.
So he actually wanted to wait.
Oh yeah, let's get into that.
He actually wanted to wait to have sex. I did not. I was at the point where I'm just like, no, like, I know you the one, like, you know, just immature and like foolish type, you know, stuff. And he actually was like, no, I want to wait because you're different. I want it to be something different. And as soon as we had sex, it was just like, it wasn't as pure anymore. It wasn't as genuine.
No, it wasn't
anymore. Like, it was just like, oh well, I got it, and there's nothing different anymore.
Speaking for man, but as a young boy, I was trying to pursue her righteously. I was trying to pursue her with the right motives, because that line had not been crossed yet. It was still something I anticipated, but I wanted to take the right precautions. So I wanted to court her. I wanted to court her, get to know her. So therefore, when that moment came, we were ready for it. And it was in the future. And it was like marriage we're talking about here.
Yeah.
But as a young boy, when you don't have guidance, another man telling you, okay, when you don't have another man letting you know how serious it is to win a woman's heart, and how to take that step, and how waiting is important, then once you cross that line,
yeah,
your mindset is immature. You think nothing of it. You feel like you've won the prize now.
I think we're told to wait till marriage, but nobody's told why or the importance behind it, because it is important, and it leaves something, you know, to be happy about in the future. You know, it leaves I don't even know the word.
Anticipation.
I'm looking for it. Yeah, there we go. Anticipation.
And there's a fire of desire that burns, but that fire is burning because y'all are courting and getting to know each other and having fun without crossing a serious line.
Because once you get that motor started, y'all,
can't slow it down. That's a freight train coming, baby. You can't slow that thing down.
Nope.
It is very real,
hard
parents.
To slow down.
It's very real. They couldn't keep us apart. They couldn't keep us apart once we crossed that line. I mean,
we was sneaking out windows and getting confronted for it, and windows locked, and having to go knock on a door like busted. And it was still like we continued to pursue each other even in the rebellion. I got pregnant around July, and then we end up having our daughter, who is now about to turn 12 next month.
Raquel was born.
She was born in April. Yes. She was born April 14, 2008.
Yeah.
So we met in 2007. She was born in 2008. And it was really embarrassing, y'all. It's like, people would talk about me, like, they were like, from here, especially from here, like, girl, you just moved here, you already pregnant? Like, how does that make sense? And then people in my hometown, I'm sure, when they heard about it, was like, no, not Christy. Like, it was, I don't think they expected for that to happen to me, and to know that she hadn't even moved that long ago, and all of a sudden she's pregnant, you know? And so it was embarrassing, like, on both, like, there was nowhere I could go and not feel embarrassed about the pregnancy.
You were kind of forced to mature and grow up
at
an early age, because at this point, I hate to say it, but I kind of clocked out. Other girls became involved. I didn't take my responsibility as serious as I should as a father.
So I went and started working, or I lived with him and his family for a while, and then I started working and saving up my check, saving up each check to finally get my own place. And by this time I'm 17, and I remember the lady at the apartment place telling me, like, we usually don't do this, and we usually not able to do this, but she, you know, ended up giving me a lease.
All praises to the Most High.
I messed it up though, y'all. She probably shouldn't have. But anyway,
but that's a lot for a young kid.
She ended up giving me a lease, and I moved into my apartment. And originally it was just gonna be me and my daughter, because I'm like, I knew that at this point he was toxic for me, you know. And so I was just gonna move in by myself. But you know, you think as a young girl, you think about that, like, family and
Yeah.
All of that. So I'm like, oh, it's okay, you know, go ahead, you can move in with us. So he moved in with us, and everything was still just, you know, going downhill and downhill and downhill, and then boom, I found out I was pregnant again.
Pregnant again. Oh yeah. And I think you weren't even, were you down here at this point, or?
I was still here. I was at the apartment, found out I was pregnant.
I didn't find out though.
And at this point, I was at my lowest. I was catching a bus to high school, y'all, to this school to drop my daughter up. This school actually has like a little child care behind the building.
So we were babies with babies.
Yeah, and I would come up, ride the bus up here, take her around the back of the school to the daycare, and then, you know, go to school. But so that was hard in itself, and I think I had just came to the point where it was just my breaking point. And I remember calling my mom and telling her, look, Mom, I'm pregnant again, but I'll get an abortion, just please let me move back home. And that was like, I felt like that was like my only solution at that point. Abortion. I felt like I can't bear to do this again on my own, by myself. I cannot do this. And that was like, at the time, I felt like that was my only option. I was hopeless, I was broken, and I'm still just 17 with a newborn and pregnant again. And
so have you ever seen the show 16 Pregnant? What's it called?
16 and Pregnant.
16 and Pregnant. Our lives were a lot like that.
We were living that with triple the drama, probably.
Yeah. And the sad reality is, a lot of times, men who are called, young men who are called to be a leader at that moment, they are the ones who flee the scene, and it's the young girl who's left to clean up the pieces that he left after he just walked out, take care of the baby, and we kind of just go on living our life, playing sports, hanging with buddies. And that's how it was for us. I had to make a hard decision that I didn't really count up the cost on, you know. And that decision for me was like, I don't want you in my life, you know. High school and everything else is more important. So
I came to this bridge, and I knew that I can leave and he's gonna move on with someone else, and I'm never gonna have that place again, or I can stay and never have that place again.
That's sad.
Like, it was a lose-lose situation, and I remember contemplating that in my head, and I knew it's a lose-lose situation. I have to leave to better myself, and that was my only option at that point. And then it was a crossroad for him, because what decision were you making when?
Well, at that time, I had been checked out. At that time, I began to be really selfish.
I mean, at the point when before I left, before y'all drove me back to Slayton.
Yeah, it was, I had that gut feeling, and I had that inner voice telling me, listen, hold on to this girl. Take care of this girl. This is your girl, man. This is your family. But I was too prideful and too selfish to actually submit to that voice. So therefore, the decision was, we'll drive you back to Slayton, Texas. Your mom can meet you there. You can go on back to Dallas, and I can go on back to Amarillo.
So we met where it all, we packed up the car. He stayed in my apartment, and I packed up all my things, y'all, and left everything behind. And we met back in Slayton, Texas, y'all, where it all begun.
Yeah.
And,
very emotional too. Sad. We cried.
Was very sad.
Quiet, a very quiet car ride, heavy car ride, tears. But something in me just would not say, let it go and choose her.
If y'all know anything about my husband, he hard-headed, y'all. He hard-headed. So, they drove me back to Slayton. My mom met me there. We were at they dropped me off at my grandparents' house. It was very emotional. And I went back home, y'all. And this time I wasn't the same. Yeah. I moved back with my mom at 17 years old with a newborn and pregnant again.
I remember your grandpa even asking, like, why everybody crying? What's the matter?
Yeah.
Her grandma's her grandpa was a pastor. He's real sweet. He's a sweet guy.
I was humiliated, y'all. I had never had anxiety like that in my life. Going back home, having to face my old friends and know that now I'm in this situation. Like, I didn't want to be seen. I was running from everybody. It was just it was a hard time. Like, I was humiliated. And so I ended up going back to an alternative school there that helps you get all your credits. It was actually a really good program, y'all. They would pick me up from my apartment, drive my daughter to her daycare, and this program paid for her daycare, take me to school, and then I would go to school, and then it would take me to pick her up and bring me home until I started, driving. My sister would let me drive her car sometimes. And so I still don't know, honestly, y'all, to this day, how I managed to graduate high school. I missed probably a year of high school, but I ended up still passing all my tax tests and graduating. And I remember not wanting to
Is that gonna be on part 2?
I remember not wanting to. No, we're going all the way up to graduation.
Oh, okay.
I remember not wanting to walk or go and face my old colleagues and friends and graduating, but I remember making myself, because I owed it to myself. I fought my way through discouragement, through children. I end up graduating
Neglect from
with
me.
2 children, y'all. Graduating high school with 2 children. My second daughter, Xavier Ann, was born May 27, 2009.
Yep,
And
2009.
it was
year
a
after I
week
graduated.
before it was a week. She was born a week before I walked the stage.
Yeah.
So I'm postpartum, still sore, and I forced myself to walk the stage. If you out there and you are
I'm proud of you.
in a situation like that, just know that it's possible.
Yeah.
Like, force yourself to keep your head up. Force yourself to walk that stage. Force yourself to still believe in yourself, because nobody else will.
And there's nothing new under the sun. And so the same things that we went through, there's people at this very school going through right now. There's young men who have children at a young age and don't understand the responsibility, don't understand the weight that they have placed on this girl, the young girl, and they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. So they think that in their minds, I'm just going to go back to being a 17-year-old teenager. When everything's changed at that point, you have now became a husband.
Yeah.
It might not be on paper, but now you've just created a family.
Because in your mind, it's funny that in your mind, you're like, I want to be an adult already.
Yeah.
I want to be grown already.
Yeah.
But then when it actually falls in your lap, you realize, I just want to go back to being a child.
Yeah.
I want to go back to running track. I want to go back to, all the things that I did in high school or that I missed in high school. I want to go back to those times, but knowing that you can never get those times back, because of the decisions that you made and because of you wanting to grow up before it's time.
Yep.
You have all your life to grow up and pay bills and raise children.
Yeah.
Why do it before it's time?
Before it's time.
Enjoy the season that you're in. Enjoy the benefits and perks that come with just being in high school.
Yeah.
And I know that even being in high school, it comes with its problems, but deal with those problems.
Peer
Don't
pressure.
deal with the problems, extra problems
I know kids
outside of that.
in other high schools. I know they're having sex. It's nothing new under the sun. You'll be a fool to think that they're not. And it's the ones you least expected, and sometimes it's the one if you expect it, it's probably happening.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you, if any parent could say, hey, if I can turn back the hands of time, not to neglect my baby, because it's a blessing that I had a child at that young age and I made it. I'm here. We're here as a testimony. We love our children. But if we can rewrite history, we would take those same children and say, hey, wait 20 years from now, maybe 15, 10 years from now, when we're ready and mature, we've taken the necessary steps.
I missed the part. I did not get an abortion. Obviously, I told y'all she was born in May, y'all. So I was up at the clinic. I didn't know how many months I was. I ended up going to the clinic and they checked me and I was 6 months pregnant, y'all. And my mom was just like, you cannot. And I was still just like, no, I have to. Like, I was already a failure in my eyes, y'all. And I felt like it was the only decision that made sense. And so when I found out I couldn't have one, I was devastated. And when I went to my first doctor's appointment, y'all, I was already 8.5 months pregnant. I never got to find out the gender until birth.
Wow.
And
I wasn't down there. I was in Amarillo. She was in Dallas when she had
make the
Xavier.
birth.
I didn't make the birth. I didn't even know she was pregnant until she actually was in Dallas, and I found out. So that was hard. That's another burden on her that I couldn't even be there, you know, as a father.
And so I didn't get an abortion, and I'm so thankful I didn't, y'all. We named my daughter's middle name Zion, and it reminds me so much of the song by Lauryn Hill.
Yeah. Your back hurt? Here, I sit behind you.
No, I'm fine. What's the song?
Now the joy
of my world is in Zion. And it's a story about how she was going to abort her son Zion, but end up not aborting him. And how her joy was now in this little boy. And I feel the same with my daughter, y'all. If y'all know her, she is so sweet. She's so genuine. She is such a light, y'all. And that just lets me know, if you are out there and you're pregnant and you feel that pressure and hopelessness of wanting to get an abortion, you don't have to listen to that voice. I feel like it was the enemy, because he knew the light that I was carrying. And the legacy that this little girl had to go out and run. And I'm so thankful that I had her. She's such a blessing.
Miracle.
She really is. And I always tell her sister saved her life, because well, I don't always tell her that, but I know that her sister saved her life, because I had a blood transfusion with my first daughter, and when I went to get my abortion, that was why they couldn't do it, because I had a blood transfusion, and they didn't want to risk it.
Amazing.
And they told me, if you want to get it done, you got to go to Austin, where they carry blood in their clinic. And I'm like, I left there like,
I don't think I've ever heard you say that. You probably told me before, but wow, that is amazing.
Yeah. I left that clinic, and I told my sister, you got to take me to Dallas. We got to to Austin. I'm sorry. We got to get this done. And she was just like, it's over. Like, it's over. And I was just like still trying to run and get this done, because I thought once I got it done that everything was going to be okay, and that I was still going to have a chance. You know, at this time, I'm a statistic. 2 kids before I even graduated high school. I shouldn't be where I am right now, y'all. And that's going to have to be on part 2, y'all. Y'all are going to have to subscribe and come watch this second part, because it's
amazing
nothing less than miraculous how we are where we are today. What happened?
Praises to the Most High.
From me graduating high school till now, how are we in this
marriage going strong?
We've been married for 8 years, y'all.
5 children.
And it's to death do us part. If you want to hear about part 2, and you want to see how this love story went from brokenness and just really brokenness, y'all, there was no other word to describe that, to restoration, y'all are gonna have to tune in to part 2. We're gonna go from when we graduated till, I guess we'll go to marriage.
So and it will bless you. It will bless you. We have a story to tell.
If nobody has told you today, God is a God that fixes the broken pieces. And there is nothing too broken that he can't fix. We love y'all, and tune back in for part 2.
Never forget to love,
laugh,
and live motivated.
We out. Y'all, this is where I was like leaving from track practice, getting in the car with my dad, and my dad was like, come on, Chrissy, let's go. We got in the car, and we hear Daniel scream from the football field.